Hi, welcome to this Success with People livecast. I am Trevor E.S. Smith, and I'll be your host in this livecast. I'm going to ask you, please, we're going to be here 30 to 35 minutes, but this livecast has the potential to be transformative in your life. And so I'm just asking you, I am weird to multitasking myself. So when I ask this, you must know how difficult it is. I'm going to say to you, please put aside the distract. Well, it's not the distraction because it's real stuff you're doing, but put aside everything else and just give me these few minutes as we explore this whole issue of the mindset challenges for your behavioral style and what to do about it. Yes? So when I look at mindset for me, mindset critical because the mindset is what determines our success. The mindset is what determines our trajectory. So I want to talk though, because it says, if I can go back to the title, mindset challenges for your behavioral style. And I want to talk about behavioral style just for a few minutes because there is a lot of confusion about this whole issue of behavioral styles. There's a sense of what are we saying? They give me this disc analysis and it says that I am D or I am I, and what does that mean? Does that put me in a box? And no. So let me just clarify this for you. This whole issue of styles, behavioral styles, is really a classification. And we use classifications in all aspects of our lives. So we classify animals as separate from plants. So if I ask you to go to my home and transport a plant or an animal, you know already certain dynamics related to what it is that you need to do. How prepared are you to do, to go and do it? We can then break it down further. Am I talking about a potted plant or am I talking about a full-grown oak tree? Am I talking about a lion or am I talking about a cat? So that's what happens. So within the broad classifications, we break down into more and more granular detail. That basically is what is being done here. So Carl Jung, over 100 years now, said if we look at how people respond to life's unfolding events, if we just see how we respond, how we react, when you and I, when we go and surf the net, what are we looking for? How do we respond to the information we see there? What Jung is saying is that you could classify the different approaches into 4 groups, basically. I go further because I think I understand it better and people understand it better when we are explaining our discerning communication model, is that we're talking about 4 massive bags of tools, of behaviors. So we have all sorts of behavioral nuances, and each bag, for example, dominance, which is the D style, has several, hundreds. Extended this actually identifies 40 unique behavioral styles within dominance. So when we look at that then and we see these bags of tools, what does that mean? And how does an analysis work? What happens is that it's the equivalent, the questionnaires that we do, is the equivalent of putting a video camera and watching your actions, seeing how you process information, seeing what you do. And it says, okay, fine, I recognize that Trevor has a preference for going into the red dominance bag. As against, he seems to be reluctant. He doesn't go into the blue conscientiousness bag as much. So the tools that he prefers would be D, maybe, or I, etc. That's what it is about. So how does that help? What it says for me is that you have a preference. This is how you tend to process incoming information. This is how you tend to respond to unfolding events. That's all it is. It's not saying you have to do it. Not saying you have to do it. Let me go back to my ridiculous animal thing. If you are told to go and get a lion, moving down from animal to what kind of animal, more granularity, then you might be scared. But it could be that it's a lion cub that has been well trained and well fed, so you don't have to be concerned. That's what it is. So there are nuances and there are certain situations that affects, impacts how the tool is used and what tool is being used. All right. So the value then of looking at behavioral styles is that we have some idea. We have some broad guidelines as to what it is that might be expected and how this might be manifested. So for ourselves, when we look at our assessment, and we all have access, and we do access all 4 toolkits, it's just that we might have a preference for 1 or 2. All right. And we might have a reluctance to use another 1 or 2. All right. So the 4 toolkits are dominance, inducement. You use inducement. Nowadays we talk about influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness. All right. So remember now, the objective, the goal, the idea is that we have these bags of tools. And guess what? 1 bag of tool is most appropriate. There's a tool in a bag that is most appropriate for every given situation. We could walk on water if we could always pull up the right tool at the right time. But that's what part of what the coaching is, so that we move towards a direction in which we are using more of the right tools at the right time. All right, so let's be clear about that. All right, so now I have said that the behavioral style influences, impacts our mindset, and the mindset is this big determinant as to our success and our trajectory. So if we look at the red zone, dominance, the mindset with someone who has a preference for going into that dominant toolkits, that bag of tools, would tend to be result-oriented, action. Something has to happen now, and I can make it happen. So there is that kind of mindset of pushing forward, making things happen. All right. If we look at the yellow bag, which is the inducement, this, influence, if you want to call it that, there's a sense that we need to look at life and to see the variety that's available in life. Life is not about monolithical situations. It's a vast variety of things. And so why shouldn't we explore? So there's a mindset. Let us experiment. Let us innovate. Let us create, because that's basically how life is. So that's the mindset that someone who has a preference for influence, style, has in terms of their mindset. The S-style behavior toolkit will tend to lead people to say, how can we make life better for everybody? I know God gives us sun, God gives us rain, so it can't be perfect. But how can we endure life and make it better for everybody? How can we as a community get together and support each other so that life is more bearable? That's the kind of mindset that would come from someone who has a preference for steadiness, who wants to go into that toolkit. In terms of the conscientiousness toolkit, the mindset is there to say, all right, given what we know, given what is available to us, what are the best options? What are the best outcomes that we can expect from what is available? And what strategies would get us there? So that's the kind of thinking that goes into the mindset of someone who has a preference for C-style behavior. All right, hope that that helps. Use a chunk of my time, but it's important for us to understand the underpinning. So let us look now, as I promised, at the critical challenge that each of the four basic styles, core styles, will face this year. Remember now, dominance, the D style, is driven, self-confident, decisive, pushing for results. And so the mindset challenge that I see this year is, how does someone who has that mindset temper their dominance, temper their assertiveness in order to collaborate more effectively? How do they support team dynamics? How do they work with collaboration? Because in this year, collaboration is key. We see that increasingly people have to work together. And so the challenge for our D-style user is, how do I temper my drive for results, the need to make it happen now, the need to be in control, the need to be decisive, and not just be going around and going over the same thing day by day. How do I temper that such that we can collaborate? And so the issues there are the impatience. Man, we need to move this. The reluctance to entertain what we might regard as distractions, this extended discussions, why we can't just make a decision. Yeah. And so that then might throw a spanner in the works of this whole desire to strengthen team dynamics and cooperate. So what is the answer? What is the action plan for our D-style colleagues? One, just to understand that there is value in teams. Yes, I understand you have reluctance there, but you need to actively listen to the team members. You have to embrace open communication. You have to let all voices be heard. I know you have the answer, but you need to let people speak. And you need to respect their contributions. Recognize that these people are strengths. They really are contributing to the team, no matter what their role is. If you cut off your little finger, they miss it. So you need to respect the contribution of everybody. Encourage collaboration and reinforce in your mind the value of teamwork. And of course, this all speaks to your emotional intelligence as well. You need to control your emotions and watch how you manage your impatience. And read the room, no man, read the situation. Yes. And just respond appropriately and provide some kind of psychological safety for others. Yeah. And please ask, not tell. Go back to the Godfather. Make a suggestion, right? But we know that you really want it to happen. Ask, don't tell. Try to persuade instead of demanding or commanding others. Right? So that is the D style. What is the I style challenge this year? The I style challenge this year. Remember the I style: dynamic, innovative, creative, multitasking, curious, in terms of wanting to experiment. Their challenge this year is going to be, how do they function effectively or comfortably in an environment that is cloaked with conservatism, static environment. This is how we have done it, and this is how we're going to do it. How do they survive? So there's going to be frustration. Why are we not playing around with AI? Why are we not trying to do this? Why does it have to be done this way? Yeah, I see the policies and the procedures, but can we try something else? That's going to be the challenge for our iStyle colleagues this year. As disruption is taking place all over the place, new creative ideas are there, and our organization is still doing things the same way and are not willing to move. I can't get my leaders to think out of the box. That's there. I have a rigid job description, right? And so I better go somewhere else. And so that organization is going to suffer from high staff turnover and low employee engagement levels. What is the answer? My iStyle friends, please understand leaders think in terms or listen to money. So speak in terms of bottom line issues. How would this innovation impact our profitability? Yes, speak in terms of bottom line, speak in terms of outcomes. It's not just a new grand idea and it will be nice and it's a great experience, but how does it impact profitability? If you focus and speak in terms of profitability, in terms of how this is going to enhance our growth, the growth of our revenues and bottom line numbers, you're going to get more success. People are going to take it on. And here's this now. You're good at selling ideas. Rally people, go and get a posse together. Get people to buy into what it is so that at least you can say, hey, I am not the only one. Look, our team buys in and wants this to happen. So that's one of the things that you can do is see how many persons you can bring on board to the idea, the need for change, the need for creativity. And then actually do some pilot work. Just do some small scale things to say, look, we experimented this and look at the impact. And so we have these little case studies. That's where we want to go, iStyle. All right. Moving along these things because I have 30 minutes. I got to move it. All right. So, steadiness, my style friends, milk of human kindness flowing through every vein. So, obviously, then, this caring, this sensitive, this peace loving, this also submissive, selfless, and politically correct individual. What kind of challenge? This is the teacher's pet, by the way. What kind of challenge could this individual have this year? Well, the problem that I see is this question of balancing concerns for the well-being of others. We know you want best for everybody. You don't want anybody to abuse this colleague. You don't think it's fair for this treatment to take place with this individual. Fine, we understand that's going to take place. But here's the challenge that I see. It comes from your reluctance to be perceived as being disruptive. Your willingness, you want peace at all costs, harmony at all costs. So instead of confronting issues, you might let it pass. That is the challenge that you have. That you might not speak up when you're supposed to speak up because you don't want to see, people to think they're disruptive. Yeah? You just want peace and harmony. Can we all get along? So the challenge with that is that by hesitating to address well-being issues that are in front, and you want to address them directly, you ought to be addressing them directly, they might not be addressed. And so you could have these unresolved issues taking place because of your fear of disrupting the harmony. But sometimes you have to call a spade a spade. And that's what I'm saying to you. That is your challenge this year. How do you call a spade a spade? When it might actually ruffle feathers. That's it. And the net result, unless you can resolve this, is that you're going to have poor talent retention because issues that should have been addressed were not addressed because you want peace and harmony. Yeah? And they're going to have people that are in the job are saying, no, 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 this should have happened. This is not happening. They don't care about us. All of those things might take place despite your thoughtfulness and your caring. It still persists. Why? Because you are too submissive. And that is the coaching, by the way, for style individuals. Be less submissive. Yeah. Boom. So what do you do then? All right. So I'm not asking you to turn the world upside down. Be discreet. You have this gift of sensitivity, and you care, so you kind of know. Yes, you can see when Trevor comes in that something is not so right with him. It's just a little thing, that a gift that you have, that you can know when things are going right with people and when things are off. And so just deal with that. So quietly use your skills to find out what's happening without having to make a big song and dance about it. So you can quietly come and speak to this individual, find out what it is that's happening, and see if you can facilitate a solution without a big song and dance. And so the same thing, using informal challenge. See if you can get other team members to talk on, see how you can create a safe space, yeah, where there's psychological safety, where people feel comfortable enough to say, yeah, I'm really having this challenge. That's a job, might not happen overnight, but that's the way forward. And of course, because you're caring and because you understand wellness issues, whether it is health and otherwise, all sorts of different areas, promote that. Yeah, have little groups. You might have your local session, and invite somebody around to your home, a small group, and just work at it as against making it a major project. Yeah, so that's it. We're moving along. C-style. Your challenges are humongous, man. All right, so systems, compliance, one thing we want to embrace, order, control, yeah, holding people accountable. The big problem you're going to have this year is maintaining control and order in the face of generative AI. How can you put a rein on that horse? Yeah, it moves so fast that your control mechanisms, and it's not just for you, by the way. Yeah, you put, our governments all over, everywhere. There's a problem as to how do we contain this thing? And then, of course, it is so widely available. Everybody can, get chat on their phone, etc. So how do you know whether people are using it in your organization? It's a nightmare. There could be unethical use, etc. So your challenge is, how do you not ban? I don't see how you can ban it, but anyway, how can you not stop the progress, but at the same time not have it just run loose? So some suggestions. Your action plan then would be to see how you can work with some kind of gradual incorporation of generative AI tools. Yeah. And I know it's very, very hard to come up with guidelines right now, but at least have some temporary guidelines so that there are some guardrails at least that are in place. Yeah. But here's the key for me. Anyway, it is training. The more people know about it and understand what it can do and what are the implications of off-rail actions, the better we're going to be in terms of being able to control it. So for me, training, invest heavily in having people understand what it is, how to use it, what are the implications. And I think that if we do that, we can foster some kind of control, some kind of order, because we have so informed persons and made them aware Of course, the more information could also be used for malpractice, but I'm suggesting that you focus on selling the ideas, what it is about, and how we can use it, and what's the best use for it. And of course, there should be some kind of AI tool that you can use to support your process of having control. All right. So that's basically is a quick thing. Let me do a. So we're saying the D style challenge is going to be how to temper. Well, it could be tampering down as well, but temper their desire for results and making it happen now for the need for collaboration, teamwork. That's the big challenge. And the point we are saying is listen some more, man. Develop some more emotional intelligence where you're reading the room and you respect others because the team, people are contributing. They might not, you might not believe that the contribution is as great as yours, but listen, all right? The I style is the question of, with all of this excitement and all of these changes taking place, why is my organization stuck in the mud? Why can't they move? Why can't we experiment? And I'm saying, yeah, that's a problem. But the only way to get that done is to speak money, talk about the bottom line. This innovation, this creative initiative is going to deliver so many dollars. That's it. And try see if you can get some people to come on the bandwagon with you. Right? The S issue is heart. I feel it. I love you. I want to care for everybody. But I don't want people to think that I'm a troublemaker. I don't want them to think that I'm disruptive. Oh, however, the problem with that is that things will stay unresolved unless you speak up. So you need to be less submissive. You need to confront issues directly at some point in time. That's your mindset challenge. And so I'm just suggesting, though, that you can be discreet. Just use your skills to find out what's happening. See where people are hurting, what's not going so right, and work undercover, if you want to say it that way, use informal channels to sort things out so that will be happening. So you're creating an environment where people understand the value of communicating, of looking out for each other without a formal project, national project, global project for your organization. That's it. So, sister, your problem, really and truly, is how do you maintain control over generative AI? Big problem, not just for you, but it's a global issue. My suggestion is that you advocate for work out some kind of a balance, really. So you don't shut it down, but at the same time, you try to provide some kind of guardrails to make it happen. And train. The more information you provide, the more control I think we will have over it. That's it. So here's a suggestion. If we understand then the importance of behavioral styles and the mindsets that the behavioral style influences, then think about your team. Your team has people in it that have different behavioral styles, which will be impacting how they think, right? The mindset that they're bringing to the table. And that's what's happening. You can't identify all of this just by observation. And my suggestion is that we have a slew of diagnostics, granular diagnostics that we can actually have your team do a behavioral assessment, behavioral DNA assessment, and then the system pulls together the team maps, powerful team maps. You learn a lot about the team. And that would then help you to be highly successful this year, because then you can align all the mindsets working together to achieve your goals. So just send me an email, info@successwithpeople.org. We can just talk about it. You don't have to make a commitment. Send me the email and we can talk and to see where we are. Want to give you some additional access to this kind of information. Again, as I say, you can email me and I'm happy to respond. These live casts are actually on YouTube. It's Extended Disk Solutions. If you go to the YouTube channel of Extended Disk Solutions, you see all of these live casts. Also, I'm inviting you to join our Leadership DNA Club on LinkedIn. Just send me a note. Go to LinkedIn, click, and ask to be let in. The rationale behind asking to be let in is that we don't want it to be an advertising forum where people just dump stuff. So this is curated content that's available. Leadership DNA Club on LinkedIn. I will be happy to invite you in. And of course, you can subscribe to our Success with People newsletter. If you go on LinkedIn again, look for Success with People newsletter, and you can just subscribe. Yeah. So who are we? Basically, we are Success with People Academy, which is a division of the InfoServe group, and we deploy our discerning model of communication and leadership, where we use the technology, we use this framework to provide really impactful assistance in terms of leadership development, leadership training, customer service, negotiation, and of course, hiring. Big thing, hire smart. We help you to choose the right candidate, and so put them into teams that work well. And we are SHRM recertification provider, which really means that when we do training, for example, we are able to provide you with certification that's backed by SHRM, the world's largest human resource body. And so you can actually use those certifications to recertify yourself for your SHRM CP or SHRM SCP certifications. What does that really mean? It just means that we function at high international standards, such that SHRM is prepared to take a certificate from us to recertify you professionally. Happy to talk to you. Email me info@successwithpeople.org. I'm Trevor E.S. Smith. Glad to have been with you today.